It's huge. It's another huge one. I can't help myself. Let me get out of your way so you can see it. This quilt is called North by Northeast, and it's called North by Northeast because there's a whole bunch of geese and they're all flying. It's just one of those things. North by Northeast is an auto novel, which I really love. So the idea for this book actually came, for this quilt actually came from a book again. And I had the idea of, I don't know why I wanted to make a quilt from North by Northeast, but I was kind of thinking about the book and that led to something else. And then I was thinking about direction, and that's what led me to geese, because flying geese is, you know, a very traditional quilt block. So this quilt is made up of somewhere in the region of 700 flying geese. Yes, 700 flying geese. That's what you do, isn't it? You make 700 flying geese. You would be surprised how quickly you can get this quilt together. And I know that that sounds ridiculous, but if you make this your leader and ender project, so every time you sit down, just make a couple more. Cut them from your scrap, cut them, you know, maybe one day when you sit down to sew, cut out a row, and then the next time you sit down to sew, piece them all together. They're all made, all these are little flying geese, all these little fellas here. And then every second row starts with a half square triangle to set it off. So the geese is actually this, and then the geese are also formed by them coming together. So they're put together in this huge square all the way across the quilt and down. So that is one enormous, massive square that's all made out of flying geese. And then you have these enormous flying geese in the corner, which are slightly cheating flying geese because they're made out of triangles. They should stop there, but they don't. They are still flying geese, really. Here's the flying. And then they're flying in all directions and coming into the center. And then all the way around the edge as well, we also have flying geese. So, you know, just to really just get all your geese in a row, haha, as they say, ducks in a row, but these can be geese in a row. This is an awesome quilt for using up all your little tiny bits and pieces of scrap. There are 1,000,001 different things in there. You do need to make sure that you get the contrast though, because this zigzag is formed by there being a light zigzag and a slightly darker zigzag. Obviously, if you made this in, say, like navy and white or something, you would really get the pop of that. This is a little more saturated and squished up than that, but you still do get it, especially in person. Hopefully it'll show up on the video, but in person you really do get that ping, 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 ping of them sort of fizzing across the quilt, and they're all flying in this direction, and then they fly back again for the winter, as you do when you're a geese. I made this quilt using a half square triangle ruler. There is one available at my website. I am a big aficionado of the half square triangle ruler. I feel like they make my piecing much more neat and tidy. You could do this using a half square and a quarter square triangle ruler. Now, the reason that I say that you need both is it's actually really, really important that you get your bias in the right place when you cut out your squares, your triangles rather. So on your half square triangle, your bias needs to be here. And then, so here's your straight edges. And then on your quarter square triangle, here's your straight edge and your bias is here. So you want to make sure the biases are all together. If you cut these big ones as a half square triangle, your bias will be here, which means that when you put this big long row together, this whole big great long row is one long piece of bias. So it's really, really important that you cut your triangles to be half square and quarter square triangles. They are two very different things, and they're cut that way for a very specific purpose, which is to make your quilt making easier. Look, it's a fun quilt. There's not much more I can say about it, except that if you try it, I really want to see it. Because if you made this many flying geese, you deserve a little on Facebook. I love this quilt. It looks great on a bed. It looks absolutely fabulous on a bed because you just get that big diamond of flying geese sits right in the center, and it looks absolutely fabulous. It's queen size. It's enormous. In fact, I think it's even bigger than queen size. You could make it smaller by leaving the borders off or what have you, or you could just make that center panel and have this square actually just be a square quilt, which would also look amazing. It'd be a beautiful throw. So there you are. That is this week's Down the Rabbit Hole. I hope you enjoyed it. The pattern is available as always in PDF and paper from sarahfielke.com. It's also in the Quilting from Little Things book. And there is a little doll quilt that goes with this, which was a little flying geese situation. I don't own it anymore. Quite a few of those little doll quilts I sold. My little white dog many years ago needed a knee reconstruction, and we couldn't pay for the knee reconstruction, so I sold all the doll quilts out of this book, and a couple of the big ones as well, to pay for her knee reconstruction. So some of them I just don't own anymore, but they went to a good cause. Anyway, I digress. North by Northeast, pattern is available. Please make lots of flying geese and show me if you do, because I'd really love to see, and I'll see you next week for Down the Rabbit Hole.